Hello all, it's the Old Geek, and I'm going to be doing one of those videos looking at pre-generated characters again. I've already looked at the ones from the G&D series and B1, In Search of the Unknown. So for this one, we're going to the pretty much the next module that was released. Well, there was a clutch of them in '78, and this was one of the next modules that came out. So 1978's Tomb of Horrors, but in front of me I have the re-release, the green copy. That's this one here. That's my copy there. But I'm using the green copy because the scan of the pastel-coloured one was quite poor. For these characters, we jump down to page 11 of the module. Right. Imagine being a pre-generated character for Tomb of Horrors. If pre-generated characters had any sense of life, this really was drawing the short straw, wasn't it? Of course, it was a tournament adventure. The characters were created for tournament play. They were sacrificial lambs. Absolutely. This module is brutally difficult. I've run it a couple of times, and I crafted my own pre-gens for it, and they were specifically designed with an array of items and skills that would enable a clever group to get as far as possible. And still they didn't, because it's really tough. Of course, my groups were playing without any sort of time pressure. They were playing a less lethal game. At a tournament, you are under time pressure. The game is going to be more lethal. But when you're not under time pressure, you can stop and think a lot more. And yet, still they died. Still, they didn't get to the end. They didn't complete the adventure. And that was despite lack of time pressure and a very strong party that I made specifically to be capable of taking on the dungeon. That's how tough the Tomb of Horrors is. So, what we're going to be looking at here, this is the list of tournament characters, I believe, from when this module was originally used. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, most modules that were tournament modules did include the original tournament characters. We'll read through the blurb anyway and we'll find out. There's a list of 20 characters here. Of course, this was AD&D first edition, pre-Unearthed Arcana, so you've got none of that. One thing that gets me when I glance down this list is the wide variation in character levels. You've got a 14th level magic user at the top and a 14th level cleric, and towards the bottom you've got level 4/5 halfling fighter thief, level 6 human fighter, level 4/5 gnome thief illusionist. It is a wide discrepancy. But such was the nature of the game back in those days. And of course, Tomb of Horrors is a sort of adventure where a clever low-level party have a better chance than a rash high-level party. It's a module that rewards patience, thoroughness, belligerence. You've got to be creative. Let's take a second initial look, though. Each character has their own magic items listed below. So we start off with a human magic user. These pretty potent stats. Level 14 magic user is going to have access to some really good spells. Displace a cloak, +1 ring of protection, +2 dagger, wand of magic missiles. Aside from the ring of protection, I would suggest that those magic items are next to useless in this adventure. Human cleric, level 14 again, of 18 wisdom, massive array of spells, +3 plate mail, +3 shield, +3 mace. Sounds good, doesn't it? Sounds great. It's not really going to help. It's not really going to help all that much. And well, of course, magical armor does help with certain types of saving throws, so it could help, but it's only against sort of physical effects. not sure how well. It's down to sort of DM application, isn't it? But no, not well equipped. 12th level paladin. Look at those stats: 17, 14, 15, 18, 16, 17. This guy's a unit, absolute unit. He's got +1 plate mail, +2 shield, +1 flaming sword, ring of fire resistance. Ring of fire resistance could come in useful temporarily. Temporarily. Flaming sword's useless, isn't it? Again, not brilliantly equipped for this adventure, but paladins with their healing abilities, their the boost to saving throws that they have, cure disease, that sort of stuff is potentially useful. 13th level ranger, again, immense stats. Not as useful as a paladin in this module. +2 splint mail, +2 shield, magic bow, plus magic arrows, magic sword. Again, it's armor and weapons. What's the point? What's the point? Poorly equipped. Poorly equipped for this adventure. Elf fighter magic user. Right, nice utility character. Okay, only a 5th level fighter, but of course elves were limited. 11th level magic user. This is a sort of character I created for my group. Utility. +1 chainmail, +3 shield, +2 short sword, scroll of 4 spells, burning hands, disintegrate, dispel magic, and levitate. Well, I would say 2 of those spells are pretty useful. I'm not sure about the rest of it. It's going to be more the character's own spells that will be useful. Dwarf fighter. Look at that strength. 1891. Level 9 fighter. Tons of hit points. Good dexterity. Plus ring mail. Ring mail. Waste of time. +3 shield. Gauntlets of ogre power. +2 hammer. That character is a sledgehammer to crack a nut. Fitting a square peg into a round hole, as far as this adventure goes. Waste. I mean, his stats, waste of space. Good saving throws, okay, but fighters in this adventure are a bit of a waste of space. It's useful to have some fighting, but you want multi-class. Fighter thief, fighter mage, fighter cleric, if you're going to have any fighter. One of the characters I made for my group was a bard. Ideal. Halfling thief. Now this is an ideal little character. High dexterity, leather armor, ring of protection, dagger, boots of speed. Again, not all that useful, but he'll have good thieving stats. Here we go. Dwarven fighter thief, level 7/8. This sort of character's fine. Huge constitution. So really good saving throws. Important for a thief. And dwarves, along with gnomes, of course, are very good at traps and locks. Perfect. Dwarf thief, gnome thief. Probably better than the halfling thief, actually, for this module. What's he got? Cloak of protection +2. Ring of invisibility. Bag of holding. Right. Yeah. Character number 8. This guy, if you know the adventure, this guy is by far the most useful one so far. Cleric level 9. There's already been a cleric level 14. If you're dumped with the cleric level 9, you'd be going me. +1 plate mail, +1 shield, staff of striking, scroll of 2 spells, cure critical wounds, and resurrection. That could come in useful. Resurrection, yeah. Otherwise, not as useful as the first cleric. There, all right. Look at this next one, number 10. Half elf, fighter, cleric, ranger, magic user. Monster stats, wider range of utility, chainmail, shield, boots of levitation, and a mace. Again, so ideal characters from the ones I've seen so far. You'd say the paladin from number 3, the dwarf fighter thief from number 8, and this half elf ranger, cleric, mage. Despite his on paper lower levels, likelihood of having fewer hit points, he's going to have decent hit points. He's got the ranger, he's got +2 due to con. he's got boots of levitation, a really useful item for this adventure. Really, really useful. So, yeah, good character to take with you. Elven Mage Thief. I love that sort of combination. I always think they're going to be a little bit fragile, but once you get to combine some of the better spells with decent thieving abilities, but my elves are better at hiding and keeping silent than they are at what's needed in this adventure. So, Elven Thief is not as useful as that Dwarven Thief earlier on, but having that Mage level 7 backing him up. Brace of Defense, Wand of Lightning, +2 dagger. No, he's useless. He's useless. Pick good spells, though. He'll be alright, but... human, 9th level magic user. Okay. Stats are fine. Not as powerful as some of the others, but still fine. +4 ring of protection. Wand of magic detection, rope of climbing. Yeah. Yeah, he's useful. He'd be useful for this adventure. Very much so. So he's up there with that dwarf fighter thief as well. I think he might not seem much, but he's properly equipped for this. Human fighter level 8. Splint mail, +1 splint mail, +1 shield, +3 spear, potion of polymorph. You can see the potion of polymorph coming in useful if used sensibly. Otherwise, he's a waste of space. Human cleric level 8. +1 plate mail, +1 shield, staff of striking, dust of appearance. Okay, that is a useful magic item. So I wouldn't worry about him being a couple of levels below some of the others. He's carrying with him something that, knowing the adventure as I do, could be useful. Number 15. Half elf, and that's a fighter thief, level 5/6. We're getting into the territory of, these are the characters you've got to give to really experienced players, because these are going to be much more fragile. And he's only got cloak of protection, +3 sword, +1 dagger, potion of healing. He's nigh on useless. He's nigh on useless. Human cleric level 6, +1 scale mail, +1 shield, cloak and boots of elvenkind, +1 mace. Okay, at least he can get away. He can sneak away with his cloak and boots of elvenkind. Apart from that, level 7 paladin. Again, look, he's got chainmail, ring of protection, crossbow, magic bolts, potion of healing. He's not useful for this adventure. You've got that other paladin at the top. Gnome, fighter, illusionist. Ooh. It's a shame he's not a thief, because gnome thieves are really useful for this adventure. Gnome thief illusionist would be fantastic. Braces of protection, boots of striding and springing. Yeah, they could come in useful. Okay, he appears to be low level. He is much lower level. But I'm not sure how good illusion magic will be in this adventure. Yeah. Illusion magic's really not ideal. No, he's got a good magic item for it, but the rest of him is useless. Human fighter level 6. He's 1800 strength. He's a human ogre. So yeah, you know what I mean. He's got javelins of lightning, potion of flying. That's useful. +1 hammer, +1 shield, +1 plate belt. Apart from that potion of flying, he is, again, square peg round hole. Waste of space for this adventure. And at the bottom, you got a halfling fighter thief, level 4/5. Robe of blending, ring of protection, sling of seeking, +1 short sword. What's the point? I know characters will have items that they've accrued over their careers that are not perfect for every adventure. But what has struck me reading through this list of magic items is just how many characters, when going into a trap-filled tomb, traps, lots of tricks and traps, are overloaded on weapons and armour. It's useless. It's pointless. It's useless. It's useless. High-level characters before going into the Tomb of Horrors should spend all their cash on seeking out sages to find out about the history of a Acererak, to find out what sort of things he might be pitting against them, what he might have become, what sort of things might be useful. Clerics need to cast lots of divination spells, some high-level mage spells as well. There's legend lore, contact higher plane, divination, commune, augury. Those sort of spells need to be cast before going in. It's not an adventure where you're going to need a wand of lightning, or a sling of seeking, or javelins of lightning, or a flaming sword. You'll feel like a complete spare part. Waste of time and space. And one would hope that the characters would learn this sort of thing out before going into this adventure. So this group are poorly equipped. They are sacrificial lambs, of course, because a lot of the puzzles, especially the early ones, are generally solved by using this and a few of these. Thieves are helpful. A perfect party, right? For me, a perfect party to go into the Tomb of Horrors will be one high-level magic user, a couple of high-level clerics, and 2 dwarven thieves. Maybe one of those dwarven thieves being a dwarven fighter thief, just in case, because there are a couple of things to fight. That's a perfect party of 5, in my opinion, because you've got high-level cleric spells to find things out, high-level magic user spells to find things out. You've got a couple of thieving abilities to deal with traps, find the traps in the first place, though there is the clerical spell find traps, for example. But you're going to have the opportunity of summoning spells as well in there. I mean, a druid might be useful with animal summoning, but animate dead, monster summoning, those sort of spells are what you really want in this adventure. Divination, summoning, some protection spells, but damage dealing spells are useless. Let's have a look and see what it says here. Okay, it gives you options. And you can see here, it talks about giving out multiple characters per player. Which obviously, if you've got a small group, you've got to. You've got to. Up to 3 by the looks of things. Suggested character mixes for best results. 10 through 19. That's all the weak ones. 1, 2, 3, 8. Does that consider that to be? Hello. 1, 2, 3, 8. Yep. Yeah, there you go. Magic user, cleric, paladin, and dwarven fighter thief. If you're going to pick 4, that's a good balance. But I would possibly argue that this half elf here is more useful. I don't know. I'm not sure. Not sure. The dwarven fighter thief is definitely a thieving option. Definitely the best thieving option. The halfling, possibly. But I mean, your 2 single most potent characters are the magic user and the cleric at the top, because they're both level 14, 7th level spells. So they've got vast array of magic at their disposal. And I think the paladin is not a bad idea. Option 2, 1, 2, 5, 10. 1, 2, 5. Dwarven fighter? Why? It brings in 10, but there's no thief that. No thief in that group. Why pick? Oh no, 5. 5 is the elven fighter magic user. Yeah, okay, but still there's no thief. 1, 2, 5, 10. There's no, yeah. Pick a thief of some sort. But the elven fighter magic user is a useful character. Level 511. It's a good utility character. Still like that. Number 8. Number 8's still my pick. My pick for probably the most useful character. Him and the cleric and the mage at the top. Okay, let's see what it says. Number of characters per player. It's difficult for the best of players to handle 3 characters, especially when these are not their own characters. which they've grown familiar with over the course of many adventures, and of course have become protective of. It is recommended that each player control no more than 2 characters. Yeah, if you've got 3 or 4 players, giving them one main character and one slightly lower leveled henchman is a way of doing it. Each player control no more than 2 characters, and if there are 6 or more players, they should have but a single character. Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Skill levels and magic items. If your players are not experts, it's suggested you allow them each an additional potion, but you should exclude giant strength and oil of etherealness. I get oil of etherealness, but giant strength? Doesn't say anything about smashing through the walls. And possibly a cleric scroll of 3 or 4 spells. If the player is relatively small and of lesser levels, pick 1 or more items of magic from those characters, from those shown on the table above, and distribute them amongst the characters adventuring. Yeah, you'd give them the rope of climbing, the boots of levitation, things like that. It's important that you give them items that they can use imaginatively, because that will give them the freedom to try things out. If your players are few, their skill level is near novice, and you don't believe they'll be able to handle multiple characters, add the magic items as suggested, then up each 1 level of experience from that shown on the roster. Do the same for total novices, and allow them a man-at-arms, each as a torchbearer and pack carrier. Another sacrificial lamb. So some of you might say you shouldn't send novices into this adventure. I did. They enjoyed it. They didn't succeed, but they got just as far as an experienced group did, because they were going in without the expectations of game mechanics. They were using their own creativity, which was good. Note, your players are free, of course, to take in their own characters should you decide to incorporate the Tomb of Horrors into your own campaign, but don't. But they should be of equivalent strength in terms of levels and magic items available to those given above. If they are considerably weaker, you should consider 1, delaying the use of this module until your players have obtained additional levels and or magic items. Delaying them until you decide that to do so is really stupid and that only pre-gens should be used. Or 2, offering assistance from some non-player sources, say a local baron who'd like to build a summer castle on the spot of the tomb and sends your players to clean up the area. Thank you, baron. That's really nice of you. Other similar ideas will readily suggest themselves with a little careful thought, but care should be taken to mesh the scenario with the pre-existing conditions in your campaign. It's a tournament adventure designed to challenge the most capable and some might say arrogant of players, and it should never be used in a campaign. It's as simple as that. It's an interesting test for a group to try and see how far they can get in an infamous dungeon. And it is interesting. Some people don't like it. I do. I've had fun running it, and my groups have had fun playing it. Anyway, that's a quick look at the pre-gens, and there we look at a party heading into their doom. I'm guessing this is the paladin leading the way. Oh, you fool. Here's the clever one at the back. He looks like he's looking behind him, thinking, I'm going to be leaving here any minute now. And this one in about 5th place looks quite dense. So that's why he's come along. But no, I'd be one of those 2 at the back. Fallen down any pits yet? No? Good. Keep going. Keep going. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this little read through. Those are the characters, the pre-gens to be sent to their doom in the infamous Tomb of Horrors. I've been the Old Geek. See ya!